I remember one call that I had with Bill a couple years ago, and I was really asking him, with all the stuff that pops up in our daily life, the stuff that just comes out of nowhere, how in the world do you deal with it? How do you keep moving forward? Truth be told, I was whining a little bit on the phone. And the story that he told me, the example of how to do that, that forever changed the way I look at what can't and can be done. He told me about a poem. It was from a guy named Sidney Lanier. He was a guy in Georgia. I think it was written in 1869. It was called, "There's more in the man than there is in the land." There was a farmer from Georgia named Jones who made his life mostly by taking out loans. He had 1,000 acres of poor soil, mostly stones. He got so tired of this land that grew lousy crops, so he thought, hey, I'll move to Texas where my cotton will grow and never stop. On his way out of town, he sold that 1,000 acres to another farmer named Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown worked hard, plowing the ground and taking all the rocks out of his 1,000-acre yard. 5 years later, Mr. Jones returned to that same plot of land that he used to own, and when he showed up, he could hardly believe it. It didn't even look the same. On this same plot, there were like 5 times the amount of crops than he had ever grown. So Mr. Brown, being a nice guy, he invited Mr. Jones in for some supper and an explanation of why he was able to do so much more with the same amount of ground, the same exact resources. And he said, Mr. Jones, it's not the land. In fact, there's more in the man than there is in the land. And this example, this poem, it's terribly outdated. So as we know today, it would be there's more in the person than there is in the land. But how often do we hide behind excuses? I mean, how often do we try to justify failure with, oh, if only I'd had that man's land, or if only I'd had her territory to sell to, that would have made the difference. More often, isn't the problem with the choices we make? Isn't the problem with the person and not the land? Bill, that example was so empowering to me because it leveled the playing field. I could come up with a list this long for you with excuses of why something can't be done, why I can't do something. And you would believe it. You would accept it because of this body that I have. But how much more can we accomplish if we start to realize that it's not what we have or don't have. You and I, our teams, the people we love, we succeed because of what's in our mind.